mouth. Be your own loud.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Be Your Own Loud. Many years ago, 10 years ago, I got introduced to our guest today this way, which is my two children, who, by the way, are still not as tall as Nate, but much, much bigger than this right now, where I got introduced to Nate as Big Easy with the Harlem Globetrotters. And still to this day, my kids remember that experience as a life-changing experience. But we're going to talk a lot more than just about the Globetrotters, because we're going to talk to Nate today about life, basketball, his embracing of just how to live life to the fullest, and the fact that he has maintained being an amazing overall human being through a lot of trials and tribulations. So Nate, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I start off the show with the same question to everybody, which is, tell me your story. How did you get to be where you are today?
My story. Well, I'm known as you know, Nate Big Easy Lofton, so that means Big Easy. I grew up in New Orleans. I was born April 15, 1981, Charity Hospital. Everybody from New Orleans know that's called the City Zoo. It's a different place. Um, you know, my mom, my dad, both of them had to drop out of school early. My mom actually did finish high school when they was young. My dad had to drop out of school when he was 11 years old to take care of his grandparents, his parents. He hustled, he sold drugs and did whatever he can do. At 11, he was in sixth grade. He dropped out of school. I couldn't imagine that at all. So he did what he had to do. He sold drugs, hustled and did everything he could. At the age of 20, him and my mom had me. My dad actually went to jail for 3 or 4 years, from doing his things he was doing in the street to being an uneducated black man trying to pay the bills. He went to jail. He was supposed to do a lot of time. He wound up not doing that time. Came home. My mom had my brother by then. My dad got home and told my brother's father that, hey, he's back. He wasn't never supposed to come back, but he's back now. So my dad was he was back home in the picture. So he didn't sell any more drugs after that day. When he came home, he wanted to do better, but unfortunately he did get addicted to drugs and alcohol. So growing up, grew up in the projects of New Orleans in the 90s, murder capital of the world. It was the toughest time to be, a young kid, growing up in the neighborhood I grew up in. I enjoyed it though. That's not a sad thing to say. Like, I didn't know I was poor. I didn't know I was broke. I didn't understand the violence and the murder and everything I was seeing. I thought that was the normal thing that everybody was doing, around the world, around the country, but so for me, I was lucky. I grew up, I had my mother and father in the same household. And growing up, it was probably, a bunch of us in the neighborhood, in the projects. And I was literally, me and my brother was the only one to have a two-parent home. So maybe, even though my dad was on drugs and he worked his butt off, he was a longshoreman, he went to work every day. Drugs or not, alcohol or not. He went to work every day, 12, 14-hour shifts, working on the river, on chicken boats and stuff, things like that, to make sure we had the basics, And seeing that work ethic, even though he was going through so much, I couldn't imagine mentally, but so much just as a man trying to navigate everything, uneducated, with a sixth grade education. He did all right. He did all right. My brother, he was managing restaurants in the airport before, the pandemic, and now he's a GM for the Buffalo Wild Wings in the West Bank in New Orleans. And of course, I'm doing what I'm doing. So I think My dad, he passed away a couple years back, so I think he would be happy with his struggles. But anyway, yeah. So I just grew up in the '90s. I grew up tough. I saw a lot. I think I might saw my first murder at 6, 7 years old, something like that, and it just never stopped. That stuff. It makes you tough. It makes you think different in life, and with the things you look at them real different from your normal 9, 10, 11-year-old. The decisions I was making at 13 or 14, it wasn't this, oh, if I do this, I might get grounded, I might, get punished, I might lose my allowance. It's like, no, if I walk through that courtyard, I might die. And that was as simple as that. So, I'm very calculated in everything I do since then, and it's because of that upbringing. Went to I played ball, played bitty ball, basketball. That was pretty cool. Didn't get to play AAU ball because I had to work summertime to pay for the uniforms when school come back. Once I got to a certain age, once I got to 14, 15, everybody started playing AAU basketball, summer league, travel league, whatever. We couldn't afford that. We couldn't afford it at all. So I had to work to pay for the uniforms for me and my little brother. Once my dad got injured at work, and yeah, and just understood life early. Had to understand how to take care of my family early. When I was like 16, 17, my dad got hurt. As I said, he was a longshoreman working on the river, working at the bottom of chicken boats. A guy almost got hit by a massive roll of paper. It was falling on him, and my dad pushed him and saved him. But it clipped my dad foot, almost severed it off. It didn't though, so he couldn't work for a little bit. My mom had to stop working to help him heal up, and that was right when I was supposed to go off to college. So I had to turn down the scholarships, and I was like 6'5", 6'6". Had a couple scholarships. Turned those down, and I went to work. I worked at Acme Oyster House in the first quarters in New Orleans on Iberville Street. One of the most famous places down there for get some good oysters. I was 6, so I started busting tables. I was dishwasher first, So I don't know if you ever saw a dishwashing area in the restaurant. It is not made for a guy who's 6'6" or over.
No, it's not.
Yes, I went home with a lot of cuts and scrapes and bruises. I had my first daughter. She's 21 now. Had my first daughter during that time. Then it was time. So I worked there for 2 years. Took care of my mother, took care of my father, took care of my brother, my daughter. I did everything I had to do working that job, working double shifts, busting my butt for 2 years. What's crazy is I grew from 6'9" to 6'6" to 6'9" over that 2-year period in between school. So it's actually, it kind of worked out for me. So I went from a undersized big man who probably wasn't going to get too many D1 offers to a legitimate, 6'9" power forward. I didn't play any ball during that time though, but I was working, coming home, and one day, man, I came home, and I had my second daughter. While I was in school, but one day I came home and I was smelling like shrimp, it's like, and my daughter was still up, and I went to give her a hug, and she was like, "Oh, Dad, that's stinky," and I was like, "Man, I can't. This can't be me. This can't be who I'm going to be." And so, just so happened, like 2 weeks later, my dad, he was like, he's healed up. He's gonna be able to go back to work. So my mother was gonna be able to go back to work, so they was gonna be fine. I didn't want to leave them unless they was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that was my main thing. So I talked to a guy named Glenn Armatrot. Glenn Armatrot, he was the GM there, and now he's the GM at Mahoney's Po' Boys down in New Orleans. It's an amazing spot. And he was like, "Man, you need to go to college. This is not who you should be. You're bigger than this." And so I talked to my guy, Coach Glenn Cyprian, who was the head coach at a couple schools, and my mentor, my high school coach's best friend, and still to this day, I lean on both of them, my high school coach and him. And I said, "Hey, man, I need to get in school." And he was like, "Okay." He called me the next day. I got a school. It says Independence Community College in Kansas. And I said, "All right." And I was like, "Well, what I need to do?" He was like, "I got your flight."
Oh,
And because it was like right when school was about to start. It was like August 2001, August like 20 something 2001. So I got there, got to school. It snowed. I didn't know what was that. What was snow coming from Louisiana? Uh, then the next week, 9/11 hit. So like I'm just lost. I don't know what's going on in the world. It's no internet then, so it's just you looking at. So it was kind of weary, looking back on it. Played 1 year there, transferred to another school, another college, junior college, because at that school in Kansas, if anybody know about the Jayhawk Junior College Conference, you're not allowed to get a full scholarship.
oh,
Your scholarship had to pay for your room and board or something like that. But I had kids, so I needed my full scholarship.
yeah.
So I went to junior college, went to Fort Smith, got the full scholarship. That way I was able to send my Pell Grant home, you know? So sending my Pell Grant home, got the full scholarship. I was doing good, had another baby. So I got 4-year-old, 1-year-old now, 3, 2, 1. I can't think of the years and range. Went to Division I school. I wanted to be closer to home. I went to Southeastern Louisiana University, like 45 minutes from New Orleans. I was, down there. It's crazy to tell you this crazy story how, I was trying to take care of my family so much. I was on full scholarship, getting Pell Grant, and taking out student loans
Mm.
to send home money to take care of everybody. It was my responsibility. Once I did it at 16, everybody just leaned on me. Which was fine. And so I don't say that as a negative thing. It just was it was the cards I was dealt, and I'm a good spades player, so I wasn't tripping. So I went out and I did my thing, did all the accolades in college and made all the great decisions in school and had the best record ever for the school. The next year went to the NCAA tournament. We lost. I had agents calling. I was going to be drafted.
Mm.
So, I made the dumb decision of dropping out of classes to work out. I only had a semester left to finish. I could have finished my school and worked out. Then I got hurt in the gym, open gym.
Oh.
No one even touched me. LCL, MCL. And so leg was messed up. It was coming to time to work out. I couldn't work out for the pre-draft. I had to heal. I had some workouts. I worked out with the Raptors, the Spurs, and now Pelicans was then Hornets. My agent got me those workouts. Physically, I did well, but I couldn't pass a physical. I know if a doctor's going to pass me with my knee swollen after every workout.
Yeah.
So just got better that summer and said, you know what, I was going to try to go overseas and play. Went to this camp up in Oregon. It was like for the play in the Chinese Basketball Association.
Oh.
Had the opportunity to go over there. I went home. It was August 27th, 2005. So I was driving on the interstate. My dad picked me up. We was going into the city. It was the only car going into the city. Every car was coming out. Katrina was coming.
Yeah.
So Katrina hit, lost everything. Long story short, long story even longer. We got 13 of us in one Ford F-150 Titan V8, and that was my dad's truck. And we drove to Houston. We got to Houston. We got to Houston. My agent Merrill, he got us 2 Motel 6 rooms for 13 people. So then he called me a couple days later. The Globetrotters was in town, along with the NBA doing. They was doing a charity event for the survivors of Hurricane Katrina, putting on shows or whatever. And my agent was like, "Hey, you want to come in and go work out?" I was like, "Yeah, it's 13 of us in 2 rooms. I haven't slept in
I'm out.
4 days. What? Yes, I want to do anything,
Yeah.
And so I called one of my college teammate who now is he's the coach at I can't think of the school right now. It's slipping me. I don't know why, but he's a head coach now. Amir Abdul Rahim. His brother Sharif Abdul Rahim played for the Nuggets, played for the Grizzlies and Sacramento Kings. He's now the commissioner of the G League right now. He's like
Wow.
Adam Silver, the G League now. But anyway, he still was in the league, and I called and said, "Hey man, I need some shoes, I need some shorts." And Kennesaw State is the school that Amir is the head coach at. I don't know why that slipped my mind. And Amir said, "Cool, I'm gonna call Reef, and we're gonna get you some stuff." Reef sent me some shoes, sent me some shorts. I went and worked out. I thought it was just a workout, but it was a tryout.
Oh.
Manny Jackson, who's the owner of the team at the time, first African American to own a professional sports team. I met him at his room at the Hyatt that night, which, staying in the Motel 6, it was like I was walking to Disney World.
Yeah.
And he gave me a contract that night. And,
Wow.
he gave me a contract that night, and he was like, and that was the most money. Like my mom and dad couldn't make that in 5 years. And it was an $85,000 contract. And he gave me a $12,000 moving bonus, and it was like, I have nothing to move. We just had a bag. I had a bag, So he was really just giving me $12,000. So that was awesome, And moved to Phoenix because the team was based in Phoenix at the time.
Okay.
And now 17, 18, however many years later, I did a couple of TV shows. I've been to 90 countries. Met my wife on the road. Got 2 more boys. I got another one on the way. My wife's like 16 weeks pregnant right now, I think.
Okay.
16 or 18. I can't remember because the everything's backed up on getting appointments. So I usually go off what appointment this is.
Yeah.
16 week, 18. So I'm kind of 2 weeks off either way. So I hope she don't hurt me. And just loving life, man. I did the Amazing Race 3 times. I met the Pope. I just hung out with Snoop Dogg a couple weeks ago. R.I.P. to Snoop Dogg. His mom just passed. So I just lived the life you can write a book on. I've enjoyed it, and now I am I've been licensed as a realtor for 6 years. I'm with Remax Momentum here in Colorado now, doing that now. Trained. I just got yesterday. Somebody called me to come train their kid, and everything I do is about giving back. So I'm just doing it. I'm just loving life and just enjoying my family.
How were you able to balance all of this? I mean, traveling to 90 countries, you're doing the shows for the Globetrotters, you're a father, you're a husband, you're a real estate agent. How in God's name do you balance all of that, Nate?
Well, like I said, my dad was on drugs. He was an alcoholic, and he worked 14-hour shifts.
Yeah.
And he was living in the projects, and every day we would hear gunshots. So for me to, be married with going on 5 kids, my wife's a doctor. I get to travel the world. I get to help people find homes, and do amazing stuff on that level. I get to train kids. I get to do basketball camps in the neighborhood. It could be worse.
It could be worse.
So for me, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to do any one of the things that I'm able to do. I would be happy with just being a great father. That's it. If you just can say, Nate, you gotta give everything up and be a great father, I'm okay with that. But I strive to be a great father, a great husband, a great person. And make sure everybody that I come in contact walk away with, man, I really enjoy my time meeting him. Or whether it's in the airport, the laundromat, clean, it don't matter, and that I think that's easy.
You are a force physically to be recognized. And so, but you've been, now, when we talked previously, as we were kind of preparing for the show, you said, I'm about to go to training camp to get, back in shape to go ahead and tour with the Globetrotters. And I said to you, well, what is it like, having to try to keep up with all the young kids? Do you remember what you said to me?
I probably said what it's like for them to keep up with me. If I don't remember, but
that's exactly what you said.
Okay, yeah, because I talk crazy to them. I let them know, I rather, my thing is, I rather shut a throne. I tell them all the time, like it shouldn't be lonely at the top. We all can sit up here and be bosses on the top of the throne, but you ain't gonna knock me off. You're gonna knock me off. I'm up here until I'm ready to roll. So yeah, that was fun. Went to camp. It was the first time doing some shows after 18 months hiatus from COVID. So it was good to see my teammates. Good to see the fans. It got cut short, but it was awesome. You know, it was awesome. I was happy. I was afraid that COVID was going to retire me. So it
Yeah.
was awesome to get back out there again. So if anything happened from here, at least I did it my way, you know?
Well, but that's the interesting thing is the impact that you make, and you do this night after night after night.
Hmm.
And I'm not just talking about with the Globetrotters. I'm talking about the
Right.
fact that you're doing it with helping people find houses and the basketball camps that you run for the kids locally and all of that
Hmm.
stuff. I get that it could be worse. I get
Uh-huh.
that you saw a work ethic, but
Hmm.
I want step out of that for a minute and look at yourself
Okay.
in the mirror and say, okay, if I was able to distill my level of drive,
Hmm.
where does that power come from?
Um, it comes from wanting everybody around me to be happy, right? It comes from wanting my kids not to want for anything. It comes from wanting my wife to not to want for anything, and my mother. It comes from you know, I've seen, like I said, since 6 years old, murder, 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 mayhem, you know? So it comes from like, okay, you're lucky to be here. Don't waste it.
Hmm.
Why would you waste it? You could have been the one that got shot in the courtyard when you was 13. You know, you could have one that took that bullet to the head, to the back of the head, standing in the bar. You could have been the one when they pull up to rob the heroin side when they picked the wrong side of the project. They got shot with the shotgun. So you wasn't. There's some reason you here. Have fun and go have fun. Why waste it? Like, who cares about anything? You know, there's a guy I grew up with named Sadie, and he always said, "Money come and go," and you never really realize that. You know, it's easy when you don't have money to say that, right?
Yeah.
And so then when you get money and you realize, like, okay, like, yeah, this is awesome. Money is going to open so many doors. It does a lot. It enables you to do some things. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the end all be all. You know, like right now, I'm about to coach my son's basketball team.
Hmm.
You know, that right there makes me so happy that I'm going to be home to coach his basketball team. My dad only came to maybe 2 games my whole life because he was working.
Yeah.
You know, and it was my senior day and one more game when we played in when we played against Tulane in New Orleans. You know, so and now he wanted to. I'm sure he did. You know, I'm sure because but I don't get to go. I'm going to my son's soccer practice.
Hmm.
You know, I'm getting to do so many things. So for me, it's like I get to do all these things. It's a blessing, and I'm lucky to be able to do them. So I'm gonna do them at the highest level. No one's gonna be better at doing none of these things I'm doing. You can't mess with me. I don't care what you say, because I'm a dog. I'm a
Yeah.
beast. You know, I'm a dog. Don't nothing is what it is. You know, it's just it's a negotiation for a house. It's I'm trying to when in college. I'm trying to score whatever. I'm trying to. I come from my mentality is different. When I was in college, I was trying to take care of a whole entire families, 3 generations of people. I was in charge of. You know, I had to feed them. So that rebound is just a rebound to you. For me, that's my livelihood.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm playing for life. But everything I do is for life, and I enjoy it though. And I
Yeah.
want to pass it down. I want these kids to see that you could come from where I come from and be from where they're from, and still be great and still be a good person. You don't have to
Well,
be a bad person.
I want to talk to you about that because so in preparing for this, I take a lot of time to
Hmm.
really distill my thoughts, and I was on the fence to ask you this question, but you
Go
just
ahead, go
opened the
for it.
door, so I'm well, and you told me I could ask you whatever. So,
I don't care.
how do you balance the reality that you had growing up and how that really contributed so strongly to your life's vision? And how do you translate that into kids who don't get it at all? Who that has not been their reality, that has not your reality,
Hmm.
living in New Orleans in the projects is not a reality that anybody that you've
Hmm.
surrounded with yourself right now really is
Uh-huh.
experienced, not to that level, Nate. How do you
Right.
communicate that to make people get it?
Well, that's my hardest job, right? my hardest job right now is for my own kids
Right.
and for your kids. I'm sure how you grew up, no matter how it was, you wanted to provide better for your kids, right? You want them to be
Absolutely.
better than you, right?
Yep.
So for me, I just say about kids I'm trying to help on the street. At PAL, Boys and Girls Club, whatever I'm doing, right? Whatever I'm at, or just a kid standing in front of the grocery store. If I have to figure out as a leader, as a human being, as a man, as a mentor, how to bottle up what I've been through and maneuver it for it to relate to what they're going through, right?
Absolutely.
So I grew up to where if I didn't play basketball, I was probably gonna die. Basketball saved my life,
Mhm.
right? They don't have that same thing. They might be paying, their parents are paying whatever amount of money for me to train them, right? And
Mhm.
say I'm training them, right? So they want me to put that killer into their son or daughter. That's the toughest thing I tell people. Like, listen, I can't put something in them that not in them, and you shouldn't want that in them. For me, I look at, my daddy told me, the Globetrotters, my first year, second year, I got let go by the guy who was working with the team at the time. It was a little snake, he did a snake move, and they fell for it, and I got fired my
Oh,
first year on the team. And my dad told me, he was like Nate, he was like, you made it through New Orleans in the 90s. You didn't go to jail. You didn't sell drugs. You didn't die.
mhm.
He was like, every move you made, because it was based off of those three things. I don't want to die. I don't want to go to jail.
Mhm.
And I don't want to sell drugs, because that's not who I am. So move accordingly. Treat everything the same. Don't treat, because you're doing this corporate thing. Still treat it how you grew up. So I grab. So everything I do now, I use the rules of those streets that I grew up in, and I was able to get around without getting in no trouble. That is a feat. That should be one
Yeah.
of my Guinness World Records. I got two of them. That should be my third one.
Yeah.
Going up in the project and not going to jail. But anyway, so what I try to do is try to find something that they can relate to, that I can relate to. I try to talk to them. I try to sit down with them and just hear them out. Because yes, I've been through this extreme stuff, like super extreme stuff, and they might just be going through having some mental health issues. They might
Sure.
be going through something, small, parents divorce or anything. So this kid having mental health issues because his parents divorcing, and he's still multi-millionaire, whatever. Is not the same as me watching two friends die, right? But mental health issues are mental health issues. I
Yep.
still have to deal with this, and he has to deal with that. So now we got to find, like, listen, I know this is not that, but this is how I dealt with this situation. So I want you to figure out how you can deal with this situation. Okay. So sit down, let's relax. Let's go talk to a therapist,
Mhm.
let's find somebody to get this out of your system and help you in that way. Because I'll never attempt to be a therapist or
Sure.
I'm me.
Right.
So I try to push them in the right direction and give them all the tools to help them. It's still tough though. It's tough for me because I'm like, well, man, I wish I had that opportunity, and that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I wish I had the opportunity. I wish I had I had a whatever truck or whatever, an endless amount of this, amount of that. But you know what it helped me realize? Helped me realize as a man, everybody has issues.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're sitting over here with this golden egg or you're sitting over here with a cracked egg. We all have issues. So I enjoyed my childhood.
Sure.
I love my friends from my childhood. I wish the violence and stuff was taken out of my childhood.
Mhm.
I would go back and live that same way, poor and everything, if nobody had to die.
Yeah.
Because other than that, the lessons I learned growing up in that neighborhood, in that city, is the reason I'm here. The reason I am I am perceived to be such a great person. I am a good man, a good husband, and all that. It's because of the crazy stuff I saw growing up. It wasn't
Sure.
because of nothing I learned in college. It wasn't because of, you know what I'm saying? It was because
Mhm.
everything that happened to me before I was 21,
Yeah. Now, you just dropped something that I have to pick back up, which is that you have 2 Guinness records. What?
Mhm.
What?
Yes, I got a Guinness World Record for the farthest hook shot, and I got a Guinness World Record for the farthest blindfolded hook shot. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah, yeah,
okay.
yes, sir. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That's
They
cool.
call me
That's
Hook Shot King. Hook Shot King.
wow. Now, uh, let's continue on this life of ever changing learning and perspective that
Mhm.
that you have. 90 countries,
Yes, sir.
right?
Over
What
90. I don't know the number
what
for sure.
what is one of the biggest takeaways that you had from? I mean, I don't know, and you're the only person I've ever met, Nate. Just so you know, who's visited over 90 countries ever. Like
Uh-huh.
you're the only person in my whole life, and so now that I have your attention, what
Mhm.
what is one of the biggest things that you gleaned from doing all of that traveling?
I'm gonna tell you two things. All right.
Okay.
First, after I got with the team after Katrina, right, and I saw a lot of stuff. I saw bodies tied to stop signs because the morgue was underwater and it was flooded. Right. It was just it was unbelievable living those couple days we did stay down there. Right. My first trip out the country was to India.
Oh,
I went to Chennai, India. Chennai, India. It was hot, and it looked like they was living in Katrina every day.
oh,
What I had just went through in that small moment of time, which was, don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying it. It was traumatic. It was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Um, those people was living that every day, but they were the happiest, nicest, giving, loving people I have still ever encountered in my time. And I was like, man, I called home to my little brother and I said, man, we just went through some stuff and we're gonna bounce back and we're gonna be all right. And we're already blessed now. God blessed me with this job and able to help, whatever. I'm like, but these people, this is it for them. So what we saw in Katrina, I saw it 20 times worse, and the kids were smiling. The adults were happy. And I was like, wow, like okay, I need to change how I think about stuff. What the material things really mean to me. It's about finding that inner happiness, no matter what the situation is. And also, when I was doing the Amazing Race, the first time I did it 3 times. I was traveling, we was going around the world, and sometimes you can stop and you can ask somebody to help you out, give you a
yeah,
dollar or two to get a burger, whatever.
yeah.
That's how the game was, right? Anybody who was dressed nice, was in big cars or whatever, did not help us. People who had nothing standing on the sidewalk or walking or were dirt poor would buy us a burger, a milkshake. One guy even bought us a beer, you know,
Huh.
and yeah. So I was like, wow, and because on the race, all my worldly possessions, I can't take. My credit card, debit card, none of that means nothing. I'm broke out here. Whatever they give me for that leg of the race is what I have. So if we want to get something to eat extra, we would have to, work out magic and, ask people for help. And never was helped by a person in a three-piece suit or some beautiful high heel shoes. It was always somebody who was, working class, walking to work on the train or whatever, that would stop and give us a coin or something to help us buy that burger. And so it made me realize, like, don't judge not one single person by what you see. Judge by what they do. Whatever they show you is what you judge it on. Forget the outside. Get to know somebody. Talk to them. See how it goes. See the up, the down, the lows. Stuff get real. See how they're gonna react. Don't just go off of hey, this person looks nice, drive a nice car. That means nothing. That doesn't mean they're a good person.
Yeah. Why real estate? That just seems like a
Well,
jump to me, Nate. I don't know, like all of the other stuff, and I'm like, okay, now, okay, but help us with that. It seems to be an interesting life transition for you. Where did that come from, and why did that happen?
so my mentor I talked to earlier, he was coaching at Oklahoma State. He coached at different places. He has a lot of rental properties in New Orleans.
Oh,
And so probably about 10 years ago, he said, Nate, um, when you retire, you should get into real estate, buy you some rental properties, so forth and so on. I said, okay, cool. And I was like, but if who I am, I was like, I want to learn about it. So
yeah,
I'm gonna get my license, and I'm gonna be a real estate agent, and that way no one can play no games or pull one over on me. Again, I grew up, I got that mentality
Yeah.
from growing up in the project now. So now everything I do, I'm trying to get ahead of the game. So I was like, okay, like I don't want to be a person trying to buy this rental property and this agent getting over or whatever. So I wanted to learn. So I went to, I did my classes and everything, got my license. Initially it was just to get the license, to get the information to be able to be inside the MLS and see stuff that normal people can't see.
Mm-hmm.
But this lady called me. She looked me up on the website. She was living in the night. She had a place in the Ninth Ward, New Orleans, duplex, and she was like, "I want you to rent it out for me." I was like, "Okay, cool." Like I was home. Like I wasn't gonna be leaving for about 3 months. So I should have enough time to do it. That's why I never would really take any listings, because I can fly to go see the Pope tomorrow, and I didn't want to do anybody that. So I was doing it, and one young lady came. She wanted to see the house, and I was like, okay, I'll meet you over there. She didn't have an agent. I got over there, opened the door for her. She was her and her son. She was a single mother, and she was like, "Oh, look at those floors." And it was refurb. It was wood floors original. And the house was like a 1920s house, beautiful remodeled home. And her son said, "Mama," he was probably like 6. He was like, "Oh, the refrigerator is silver." It never saw standing still. And I said, and I looked at her, and she was like, "Well, I'm gonna have to do this," and because I was running the credit checks and I was doing everything. And I said, "Okay," and so. She was like, "Man, this would be so awesome for him to live somewhere like this." And we living with my aunt right now. And I was like, "Where they live at?" And she told me where they live at. It was a project. And I was like, "Man," and she was like, "I'm just getting out of college and I'm just getting my job and I'm trying to do better for him." And that hit hard.
Yeah.
That hit hard for me. I never had wood floors. I never had a dishwasher or nothing until I was paying for it, me and my wife, And so I understood that. And I was like, man, I didn't see none of this stuff till I got my 20s. If I could help her show her son this at 6 years old, how good would he be when he get in his 20s? So, I want, like, wow, that's cool. So I sat down, I talked to the lady who owned the home, and I said, "Listen, I understand she's not the most qualified, but if we can, I want to give her a chance." And she was like, "Well, why, Nate?" And I told her the story. She started crying. And because he was a black lady, and there was a young black girl. And she was like, "Of course, let's do it." And so I said, "Listen, if anything happened, I'll pay for the damages, for the first year."
Wow.
And she was like, "No, you don't have to do that." I said, "No, I just how much I or whatever." And so after that, I was like, "Man, like, okay, this is cool." I can meet a lot of people, which I do already. I can impact families and kids, which I do already. So I was like, man, when I finish playing, I can still be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And financially be stable, So that's why I chose real estate initially, and first it was just to get the knowledge. Then when I realized people really can you can really help them, that's awesome. Like right now, this young lady right now, she's 20 years old. She'll be the first person in her family to own a home. Her family came over from Mexico when she was younger. And so like I'm fighting for her, with the loan officer. Let's get her qualified, and we're going to get her. We're probably going to get her house this weekend when we go out.
Wow.
She just got qualified for some more money, and that's I'm not going to make a crazy amount of money off that deal, but I feel so good now telling you about it, because I know, like, I'm about to change her life trajectory. I'm about to change when she started a family. They own something, and so it's like I'm going to help her get that. So for me, now it's still the same thing. I'm still helping people. When I get in front of the other agent, I'm performing. So I know I'm going to change a couple lives. So that's why real estate.
I'm sure that there are people who are listening to the show right now or watching the show who are going to want to, I don't know, talk to you, thank you, hire
Mhm.
you, what's the best way for people to reach out to you, and why would they reach out to you? Should you just want people to, I don't know, help us with that?
Man, if you listen, I got so much going on right now. Like, um, I'm always you want help with getting a house, selling your home in the Colorado area, hit me up. I got basketball camps coming up. I got one coming up with the rec center, the Paul Durr, the rec center in Broomfield. Um, I'm training kids again. Basketball season starting up. The assistant principal just called me at one of the schools and said, "Hey man, can you train my son?" So I'm gonna do that. Go to my Instagram, go to my Twitter, Facebook. Just follow me. I'm about family, family and fun. Yeah, just hit me up on any one of those things you want to holler at me. Ask me a question. I enjoy life. I just went down to New Orleans and helped out with the relief from Hurricane Ida. Teamed up with PAL, the Police Athletic League, and gave away grills and tents and stuff that you wouldn't think people need. They hadn't had power for so many days, so it was awesome to go and do that. I just did a kids camp at the daycare. Yeah, man, I got a lot going on. But right now, my main thing is the real estate.
Mhm.
So hit me up, man. I love to work with anybody, help them out, and help their dream come true.
That's awesome. Well, Nate, I want to thank you so much for not only everything that you've done, but giving us the gift of your time for a few minutes today. So thanks for being on the show, man.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. It was fun. I hope my story was someone that would help at least one person out there, and then they could pass it down.
Something that I just heard that I want to kind of say as our closing here is
Uh,
when you know how to fight and you flip that so that you don't have to fight for yourself anymore, but you keep that fight in you and you fight
mhm.
for others to make other people's lives better, that's a reason to live. And that's one of the reasons why I think you impact so many people,
I
and
appreciate that.
people are drawn to you. So I want everybody listening right now and watching, think about that. How can you take that fight that you've had for whatever reason and turn that into something where you can help fight for others to have a better life? And if everybody did that, could you imagine what this world would be like? All
Be
right. So
awesome.
for Nate, Big Easy Lofton, and all of us here at Proudmouth, thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.